Good morning and welcome to our online Sunday services at First Unitarian Church of St. Louis. And thank you for joining us on this beautiful July 4th holiday weekend. Hello, my name is George Grimm Howell, and I use he, him pronouns. I'm glad to see you all here this morning, and especially wanted to welcome any new visitors or other newcomers. If you're new to our congregation, we hope you'll fill out a newcomer form, and that's found at the link that Damien's going to put in the chat window. In the chat, you can also find a few other useful links, including today's order of service, our YouTube channel where service recordings are posted, and information about our religious education program for families with children. Automated closed captioning is also available for those who would find it helpful. So just click on Live Transcript at the bottom of your screen and then Show Subtitle. Now, since one of the important aspects of worship is being present in community, we invite you to show us your colors, show us your beautiful faces by turning off your webcams and switching to gallery view. And feel free to wave at each other, but just keep your audio muted. It's so good to see everyone today. So now, please switch those webcams back off and feel free to return to speaker view. Welcome to this religious community where we strive to be a welcoming congregation, inspiring lives of loving kindness and integrity by nurturing spirituality, building community, and advancing justice. We are glad you are part of our community this morning. And now, please enjoy our prelude, Variations on America by Charles Wesley, performed by our organist, Earl Naylor.
morning. My name is Michael Unter, and I use the pronouns he, him, and I serve this congregation as your worship assistant. Happy 4th of July. These opening words come from Susan Werner. There is a hope that's been expressed in you, the hope of 7 generations, maybe more. And this is the faith that they invest in you. It's that you'll do one better than was done before. Inside you know, inside you understand, inside you know what's yours to finally set right. Come, let us worship together. Now, please let us sing with gratitude our hymn of the month for July, number 66, When the Summer Sun is Shining.
Our chalice lighting words come to us from Sarah Eileen Lawal. We take time to remember the ancestors' journey, lit by 1,000 stars, what the wilderness taught them. Blessed art thou, O Lord. Trust in the path, celebrate with joy. What might the wilderness teach us? Where can we pray to our 1,000 stars to feel our own life's blessings, to know our own journey lit from within? We take time to remember and celebrate with joy. We light our chalice in honor of this celebration of journey, ancestors, and joy. Our story for all ages this morning is about the meaning of fireworks. And it's inspired by In the Heights by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Abuela walked out of her front door the evening of July 4th and called out to the neighborhood, "My dear children of all ages, it's almost time for the fireworks. Gather around to hear a story about the great fire in the sky." That was my abuela, as she gathered all the children and their grown-ups and the young people for one of her special stories. It seemed she had one for almost every occasion. And this very evening, all the kids on the block were so excited because it was the 4th of July and the fireworks were about to begin. Who's ready to hear a story about the 4th of July fireworks? Abuela said. Now, Abuela wasn't really my grandmother. In fact, she wasn't anyone's grandma, technically speaking, but that made her everyone's grandmother. The kids gathered around Abuela on her front steps. The people in our neighborhood had come from everywhere to make a new life in the big city. They brought with them many cultures, languages, and hope for the future. In the hue of their skin and hair, you could see almost every color under the rainbow. And each family, on special occasions, sang songs that reminded them of their ancestors. So tonight, how about we make up the story ourselves as we go, said Abuela. That way we know the story will belong to all of us. Everyone looked at each other and nodded. They thought that was a great idea. So to set the mood, all the kids started passing out sparklers and lighting up the evening. "I'll start," said Nina, who had just returned home from college. "I learned in my history class that fireworks were originally invented in China in ancient times." "You're welcome," said my neighbor's son, Yao Ling, and everyone laughed, grateful for this gift brought by Yao Ling's ancestors. Then a girl named Abigail said, "Fireworks nowadays are American, right? They stand for Independence Day. Our ancestors who came to America celebrated with fireworks after the Revolution." "That's true," said her girlfriend Nikki, "but this is where our fireworks tradition comes from. It seems people everywhere have always wanted to be free. Our founding mothers and fathers wanted to get rid of the mean old king and make a new country based on democracy and freedom." "Ah, yes," said Abuela. "It's a beautiful idea, democracy and freedom, and it's worth celebrating. But as we watch the beautiful fire in the sky, we have to remember all of the stories, don't we?" Exactly, exactly, said Aliyah. "My people weren't included in that democracy idea, and we definitely weren't free. And Black women have waited even longer than our brothers for our freedom." Her brother, Jamal, chimed in, "Yeah, to me, the fireworks on the 4th of July are more like a great promise that's out there, but it sometimes feels so high up in the sky, I'll never be able to touch it." Then Yolanda spoke up. "That's true, Jamal, but we get there little by little, right? My abuelo came to this country as a poor migrant with only $20 to his name. And then he made the little bodega on our block. He made a new life there." "That story is also true," said Abuela. "What other stories can we tell?" Then Dakota, who had been listening intently, finally spoke up. "Okay, everyone, I have to be honest. I love watching the fireworks dance in the sky. They make me happy, sure, but they also make me sad at the same time. Why would fireworks make you sad? Asked Abigail. Because the beginning of America meant the end for my ancestors who were already living in this land. Abuela closed her eyes and nodded slowly. Yes, my dear, exactly. There are many, many stories of America and many meanings for the fireworks. Do you know what I think about the fireworks? No, what? Everyone asked. Tell us, tell us. What is it that makes the fireworks celebration so wonderful? She asked. The fireworks are bold and surprising, like Yolanda's abuelo, and they are filled with so many colors, like all of you young people here in our neighborhood. Each firework is unique. Some green, some blue, some red, some white. Some dance gracefully, and others just make a loud bang with a single flash. But the best part of all, Abuela continued, is the grand finale when all the different fireworks go off all at once. Sometimes it's a big, loud, and beautiful mess, all of them weaving together and lighting up the whole sky. The fireworks, she said, if we watch carefully and listen, they tell all of our stories. They represent not just our past, but our hopes and dreams for a better life. After all, the hard work of becoming America isn't done. And just then, the first firework was launched into the sky, and it lit up all the faces of many colors gathered there on Abuela's front steps. And all the people smiled as they remembered their own stories and imagined an even better future. One of the ways that we remember each other's stories is by sharing our joys and concerns each week. Let's quiet our minds, open our hearts, and feel the Spirit moving among us. I now invite you to type any sorrows or concerns you are holding into the group chat window. We hold our friend who is battling with leukemia. We remember a friend who has gone back in for additional recovery. We share our concern for healthcare workers of all types. Thinking of minor medical procedures this week. Grateful that all will be well, we hope, yes. We remember a friend having surgery for breast cancer. And I would also add our thoughts and prayers for all those who continue to suffer in Florida after the tower collapse and much loss of life. We hold all of these sorrows, along with those yet unnamed, with tenderness and compassion, May they be lighter because they are shared. And as a community, we also share our joys with one another. And I now invite you to type any joys you wish to share into the chat window. Gratitude for a great performance review at work. And the choir get together last Wednesday. Yes, great gratitudes for that. And the fact that our hymn music this morning was recorded as a whole group rather than layered individual recordings. Happy day. Celebration for a friend's 70th birthday. Joy in discovering the Savannah landscape in Forest Park. Celebrating 25 years of sobriety on Monday. Beautiful. Celebrating 70th birthday this week. Enjoying a week with our son at home, who is visiting from California. Gratitude for all involved in today's July 4th service. This just in, a proposal to my girlfriend, and she said yes. Congratulations, Damien. That is beautiful. Congratulations. And congratulations for all those joys this morning. It was a joy to walk the dogs in the cool air. More congratulations for Damien. Beautiful. We hold all of these joys with gladness and celebration, and may they be magnified because they are shared. Let us join our hearts and minds in a spirit of prayer or meditation as we listen to these words by the Reverend Jude Geiger. Spirit of life, God of many names, source of hope, we come together at the end of another week, some worn down by struggles of health, of home, or work. May we be a community that makes space for the sharing of joys and sorrows, angers and hopes, with grace and forbearance. In our nation's life, we paused this holiday weekend to remember the Native American lives lost from the European colonization on what is now our soil. Teach us to remember our history. Though we cannot make amends for what has come before, may we learn from those ways never to repeat them in our lives today. May we develop new ways of relating to neighbor and stranger without violence or coercion, deceit or greed. Mother of grace, help us to find a sense of humility where we have privilege and strength where we face oppression. In our struggles, may we learn compassion, and in our power, may we learn temperance. As a community of faith, may we be a safe harbor in a world that is often harsh toward difference. Challenge us to use our presence as a healing force for justice and equity. Knowing that although we have come far in the civil rights struggles of our times, there are many people still left behind. And the work of building beloved community is just as pressing as ever before. Amen. The mission of the First Unitarian Church of St. Louis continues, even in this time of continued pandemic, and even as we dare to dream of reunions coming soon. We are not passing a physical plate, but there are many ways to donate, including by mail, online, or by text. Your generous support is needed now more than ever, so please give as you can. And listen now to our offertory music, an original new song written just for this worship service. This 4th of July, performed by our own singer-songwriter, Daniel Trurin.
I'm not trying to step out of line, but could we cool it with all of the explosions in the sky? You know, a fireman lost his life last 4th of July. And I can smell the smoke on the clothes I went camping in yesterday. I can hear the kids laughing in the moonlight. Maybe we can just take a walk and try to find some fireflies this 4th of July. Well, I'm not trying to speak out of turn, but I could do with the light. Let's burn, baby, burn. You know everything's alright this 4th of July. And I can smell the smoke on the clothes I went camping in yesterday. I can hear the lightning in the moonlight. Maybe we can just take a walk and try to find some fireflies this 4th of July. I can smell the smoke in the clothes I went camping in yesterday. I can hear the kids dancing in the moonlight. Maybe we can just take a walk and try to find some fireflies this 4th of July.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you.
Do you love my boy? It's it.
Quick, you see that car? What car is that?
Parsley.
Televisions from one end of the shop to the other. Nothing but televisions.
So what is this? Television.
It's television. You can only watch for so long. To me, it doesn't have what radio has.
What does it mean?
What?
What does it mean, the suburbs?
Just a nicer place to live.
You ever been in the suburbs? I never even heard of the suburbs until this thing happened.
Let's toast to the suburbs. You live miles from nowhere.
Gotta be a pioneer to live out here.
I hate the suburbs.
I came to America in 1914. And when I came to Baltimore, it was the most beautiful place you ever saw.
The 4th of July, it's a time for celebration and especially a time for remembering as we retell our story as a nation. This is the underlying theme in the 1990 Barry Levinson film, Avalon, which is largely based on his family history. For those of you who are not familiar with the film, and I certainly was not until a couple of weeks ago, the film is about 5 brothers from Poland. 4 of them, who settled in Baltimore, pooled money together to bring their younger brother, Sam Krasinski, to America, and in their home where they all lived together. During this time, they worked in communion, forming their own wallpaper hanging business to make ends meet. As each brother married, the Krasinski family grew. They organized to look out for the welfare of the family, pooling together their meager funds to save for necessities and emergencies, and eventually to bring their father to America. With love, laughter, and music, the family survived what they saw as the hardest of times. These family stories and tales are narrated in the movie by an older Sam of the 1940s, who is now one of the Krasinski patriarchs. As the family grew, they continued to live together, some in the same home, some directly next door, a phenomenon that appears to be largely in the past. After a move to the suburbs, not much has changed. The Krasinski family are still warm and fun-loving, and their children and grandchildren appreciate their banter over family memories and the good old days. The youngest children have grown up with the influence of aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, great aunts, all their family neighbors, all their family members nearby. Eventually, a couple of the young cousins shed their Krasinski identity, assume American names, and having been raised by their fathers that hanging wallpaper was degrading and that selling was security, they go into business for themselves as salesmen. Television soon comes into their life, and we see that hours once spent happily listening to family stories around a packed dining room table is replaced by TV trays in the living room, all watching the television, eating, but no one saying anything. We see off to the side the dining room table, which appears to be very empty and alone. Stories are no longer listened to, and the family circle meetings have become strained through distance and money disagreements. I cannot help but to reflect on my own past and Polish heritage. I too remember stories, mostly of my maternal grandmother. She enjoyed telling me stories, but to be honest, I think I enjoyed hearing them more than she liked to tell them, and I always encouraged her to tell me more. She was 5 years old when walking through the field with her siblings, where they encountered a loud, strange noise and saw a contraption so unimaginable that they assumed it was the devil and ran into a ditch and covered their faces. The year was 1909, and that was their very first encounter of the automobile. A few years later, she would get her own driver's license by purchasing one in a drugstore without any written or road test, and she did not even know how to drive, but thought she'd figure it out later. This is the family stock where I come from. It did not even dawn on me until I began writing this that I inherited the same kind of shrewdness. My own mother would ask me during periods of my life how I was going to manage something, and I would just shrug and say, I'll figure it out sooner or later. I cherish my grandmother's stories and the tales of how my parents met and navigated the challenging years of World War II. When my mother was close to passing and my niece was at my side, I told some of these stories, and she had never heard them before. She seemed glued to my every word, and I felt like I wanted to give her something that would last and that she could keep. Now more than ever, I seem to want to connect to my heritage. I find myself collecting things from Poland and bringing back traditions that have long been stopped, within my family. For Easter, I decided to try the art of Pisanka, which is an Eastern European tradition of elaborately decorating eggs. Now, I'm no artist, but as I said, I do figure out things sooner or later, and found online pre-decorated heat-shrinking sleeves to surround the eggs. My sister delighted them in so much that she too purchased some and had a great time decorating them with her grandchildren. It pleased me that maybe this is something that she will do from now on with them, and perhaps this tradition of our ancestors past will continue, albeit in a convenient modern method. Our fourth Unitarian Universalist principle, coincidentally on this fourth date, is a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. I've taken this principle as a direction of moving forward, hoping to advance in enlightenment, searching for truth and meaning that would make my life more open to connect on a spiritual plane of existence with all that surrounds me. What did not occur to me until recently was that looking into the past might be helpful in this quest for truth and meaning. I do know that some of my family's past is not so glorious, nor should be something of pride. But I can take ownership of this, really look at it, and use it to navigate a better course for whatever future I have left. We're supposed to want a better life for our own children, and I know this is what my parents wanted for me and my sisters. I'm reminded of the time that my husband, Adam, and I were at a restaurant pre-pandemic. A nuclear family consisting of what appeared to be a mother, father, and 2 children were at a nearby table. All were quietly occupying their own time, each entertaining themselves on their own cell phone. Yes, the 2 children, who could not have been more than 7, had their own device. I see this as the modern version of the TV trays and distraction of television as seen from Avalon. Remembering this scene makes me sad, and combined with the past year of isolation, makes me crave human interaction and family gatherings all the more. I find I want to share what I know and remember with my grandnieces and nephews, if they are willing to listen, that is. Some may, and some may not. But I must try. It is as if I can hear my own ancestors calling me to tell these stories, not just to remember, but to also know how to live your life and identify that which is important to you. Emily Lunsford's review of Avalon states that we must remember what is past, cherish family and our traditions, hold relationships with others as foremost, put our jobs and salaries in the proper perspective, and not give in to the fads and fashion around us. Additionally, C.S. Lewis wrote, "We all want progress, but if you're on the wrong road, progress means doing an about turn and walking back to the right road. In that case, the person who turns back soonest is the most progressive." I like to think that by owning my heritage and doing things such as setting limits on my electronic devices helps keep me on the right path moving forward. I inherited long ago a lamp my grandmother made during the craze of the cracked marble phase of the 60s, which is featured on this week's e-newsletter. It was discolored from dirt and dust, and marbles here and there were falling out. I took every marble out, painstakingly cleaned and shined each one, polishing the lamp, and then put it all back together. It still had the same bulb from when I was a child. It beamed bright. But very shortly after, the original bulb that lasted for so many years burned out, and I reluctantly replaced it, which now has a different glow. But it's as if she's telling me to remember the light of the past, but to also make my own light. For years, I have turned on that lamp almost every evening. When it comes to turn it off right before bed, I've always quietly said, "Good night, Grandma." I need to remember my past, both the good and not so good, in my quest for truth and meaning. If I stop remembering, I'll forget. Please join us in our closing hymn, our hymn of the month for June, number 293, O Star of Truth. Our closing words come from James Morrison. Within each of our hearts, there is a most glorious light. Go forth and let its spark help you understand what troubles both you and others. Go forth and let its light of reason be a guide in your decisions. Go forth and bring its ray of hope to those in need of help in both body and spirit, that they may find healing. Go forth and fan the flames of passion to help heal our world. Go forth and spread the warm glow of love, pushing back the darkness of the world. Go forth and share your glorious light with the world. You are seen, you are heard, and you are loved. Amen and blessed be.